All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to Government Cheese Time, brought to you by the Anti-Watch Watch Club, a 501c3 charity that utilizes the drop culture to support veterans, LEOs, and first responders by providing monetary, social, humanitarian, and emotional support to those in need. And this shirt, right here, the hat,
It's
the
beautiful.
hat, Jason. They have some pretty cool stuff, and they use it to support the community. Support. There you go. There you go. Tone it down. And
Tone it down, baby.
support law enforcement, provide training opportunities when the department can't afford it, and so on. And a great organization brought to you by them. Take a look at their website, support them. And how you doing, Jason?
Doing pretty good, Alex. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. For today, I'm wearing my Notice Deep.
Oh,
There you go.
look at that thing.
And drinking a cup of coffee.
Nice. I have my
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I can't take it off my wrist. And the loom's always magically on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that happens. My Grand Seiko SBGX 335.
Yeah. Yeah. How's your week been?
Oh man, busy but good. You know what I mean? It's been super muggy over here on the East Coast, but that's to be expected. I'm kind of happy because I feel like the overall humidity came in much later than it did last year. Last year, I remember like late May, early June.
Yeah.
Just the acronym we use is IBS. You can figure that out for yourself. But you know what I mean. But it kind of held off until the start of July this year, which is kind of nice. So if it ends, like middle of September, that would be great. If it starts to do a downward trend and we actually have a cold winter, that'd be good. But other than that, just working. Fall in love with this thing more and more every day. It's oh man, it's so good. Selling stuff like it's going out of style.
Yeah. I've been on leave. That's why I didn't record this week. So I just got back basically yesterday was my first day back. I'm still on leave until Monday, which I start working Tuesday because no one wants to start working on a Monday. So I took that Monday off too. But I share a little bit with you and Cody about this crazy thing that happened while I was on leave. And I took leave. I went to Vail, Colorado.
Oh,
For those of you that don't know. So I was at Vail, Colorado, in the mountains. And if you don't know where Vail is at, Vail is basically AP land, right? It's how you said it, disposable income land, right?
Disposable income, capital D.
It's yeah, for sure. Because I'm telling you, I've never seen so many APs in one concentrated 1 mile square, like a 1 square mile radius anywhere else. Like it's insane. It was crazy. And you either had, there was only 2 watches that I saw. Well, I saw more, but majority of watches, it was either one of 2, an AP or a Submariner.
Oh, wow.
Majority, like I probably threw the percentage off because I wore my Grand Seiko the whole time, but that was the only 2 watches that you saw everywhere. And
surprised there wasn't some kind of radar system set up where they're like,
yeah,
non-AP, non-Rolex.
Yeah,
they triangulate your position.
Yeah, I did see a Daytona, but just basically majority of the time it was AP or a Submariner, specifically a Submariner for Rolex. And then it was crazy. We were eating dinner one night, and there is like, for those of you that haven't been to Vail, Vail is like a village, right? So they have like this village area. It looks like, straight up, it looks like a town from Germany or Austria. And
interesting.
So the stores are like village style, and all the hotels, everything. In the middle of it, they have a big hotel that has like a fake lawn area, and that fake lawn area is surrounded by like stores.
Mhm.
Now, they were doing a jazz festival the whole time we were there.
Of course they were.
Of course, like who does a jazz festival other than Vail, right?
Yeah.
Or areas like Vail. Yeah, the crazy thing is we were eating pizza, pizza place right across.
Mhm.
The the surrounding stores, there's one of them is a jewelry store. So they is the only one that has watches. So it's a what basically holds um holds Omega, it holds Tudor, Rolex, which they had Rolex in the store.
Oh wow.
But um yeah, I guess if you supply Vail, you got to have them in the store. So they had Rolex, they had Tag, they had um Cartier, they had a bunch. They have a bunch of brands. I can't.
Yeah.
They have Breguet, which
Oh wow.
is you barely see them. A bunch of brands. Now, uh, they had a giveaway, and the giveaway was for a watch,
Oh wow.
and it was if you had to answer a bunch of questions correctly. Now, granted, we're eating across from the jazz festival, so the guy gets on the little microphone on the little area that they had for the jazz music, and it wasn't even like a stage, probably a stage you call it, I don't know. And he gets on, and he says, "Oh, we're getting a giveaway from so and so, and it's gonna be one of two watches. You get to choose the watch." It was either a Longines Hydro Conquest or an Oris Aquas, both 39 millimeter version, right? So I'm like, instantly, I'm like, all
Yeah.
right. I hear that. I'm like, I don't want to eat anymore. I'm going to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
So they start asking questions. They asked about 7 questions, and you get the watch, right? So instantly, as soon as he starts saying that, obviously, there's a bunch of rich, drunk guys around,
Yeah.
just wearing APs or Submariners, and they're like, this is easy. So they get up there, and this dude gets up there. The first question was, what's the lug to lug on the Hydro Conquest? Right? I'm like, oh hell no. Nah. So this old dude says, well, almost every watch is 47 lug to lug, so 47. They said no. Now they give him another chance, and they said, what's the lug width of the Hydro Conquest? And he says, well, almost every watch is 20 millimeters. So 20 millimeters. They said no. I was like, all right. So at this point, I see there's one more person in line, right, to answer the questions. So I don't say anything to my wife.
Yeah.
I just got up and ran across the restaurant to this area.
She understood the mission.
She understood the mission. So ran across the area, get in line. By this time, the other guy's on the stage, right? Answering questions. Gets the first one right, which the 39 millimeter has a 49 millimeter lug to lug, right? It's a 10 millimeter difference for the Hydro Conquest, and then he gets the lug width wrong. So
what did he guess? 22?
I don't remember what he guessed, because at this point I'm sprinting across people, jumping little kids, like everything.
You know how much the Army trained you for that moment?
That moment alone.
Man,
that was
the Army hooked you up, bro.
Hooked me up. Get in there. And by this point, I'm not as athletic I used to be, so I'm gasping.
I guarantee you're more athletic than 85% of those guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to answer questions.
So I get there. I'm getting on stage now by this point, and they say, they ask the first question, 49, got it right. Move on to the second one. Lug width, 21 millimeters. Got it right. And then they asked about the Oris Aquas, right? They asked the Oris Aquas, was the lug to lug? What was the lug width? They asked what was the movement on the Oris? What was the movement on the Hydro Conquest? So things like that, right?
Do me a
So
favor. When they asked you the movement question, did you counter with the second question, which was, which model are you talking about?
which model? Yeah.
They should have
Well,
handed you watches at that point. Go ahead. Sorry.
they definitely should have gave you both watches, but they asked the movement. So when they mentioned the Oris Aquas, right? They had the picture on they had like a little screen in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that the dial doesn't say 5-day
Okay.
on the dial.
Yeah.
So automatically, you should know is a Salida movement, right? So the Longines is at a base, Longines altered movement, 777 and blah blah blah. Now you got all these questions correctly, and the dude says, "Congratulations, you win." And I was like, "There's no way. So it's crazy.
Tell me that your wife stood up across the street and slow clapped like a 1990s high school movie. She's just like,
no.
Everyone stands up like, yeah. No,
not at all. She's chugging pizza. So, so the crazy thing is, right? The guy that was presenting had an Oris. He had a Pro Pilot, the Pro Pilot X with the pink dial, which is probably that, without counting the Oris and the Longines, that was probably the cheapest watch in the whole area, right?
Oh yeah.
So, then they go, you win this watch or whatever. I go back to the store. The old dude that answered incorrectly was mad as hell, and and then
I can't believe you answered those questions.
No, he was like, I think what he said was he had time to look it up on Google. I was like, whatever, dude. So I walk across to the store, and they get my address or whatever. Walk back to the restaurant, and
your
my wife was
cold.
like, my pizza's cold. My wife was like, I didn't know where you went until I saw you across.
For like 15 minutes, she's like, where the hell did Alex go? Yeah.
I heard your voice on the mic through the speaker. I was like, yeah, it had to be done. So it was done. And apparently, so the whole time coming back here, I'm like, I texted Jason, I texted Cody. I was like, I don't know if this is real. I don't know if it's happening or not, but I'm not going to tell anyone because I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
So I left it as it was. I did tell Morris because they said you get to choose the watch. So the thing about the Hydro Conquest is the lug to lug, right? The lug to lug, like I said, is 49. So it overhangs. Yeah, it's long. It overhangs on my non-gifted wrist, right? So I told Morris, I did post the two pictures on a story for people to choose what they would choose and stuff like that. But it was to tell this story, right? And then I left, and maybe yesterday, maybe at noon or whatever, I got the email saying that it had shipped and it was coming
Dude,
next
that is
week.
Insane.
I was like, damn, that is crazy.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. It was crazy. Never thought that this vacation would go that way, but we gotta watch out of it. So
I think this situation answers a lot of questions for watch enthusiasts, right? So the first question, when people try to say certain brands are luxury, I would say that if Longines and Oris are being given away in Vail, they definitely are entry level luxury, right? Yeah. Number two, I think it's almost serendipitous that you're eating pizza and you just randomly come across this trivia contest. It couldn't be, there could not have been anyone else within a square mile that has as much watch knowledge as you. So like, and then it validates everything you've been doing, right? Every time like your wife would be like, what are you reading? You're like, oh, I'm looking at the wristwatch annual, or I'm looking at the wristwatch annual 2021 or whatever, right? I had one from like 2014.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? That's why. Because you
Yeah.
never know when you're going to be able to win that
know.
chorus. And now you got, because you had one and you sold it before, right?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so now you got one back in the collection.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy because the Auras was the first brand that felt like make me move upwards in price. Because I love the feeling of it and so on and so on. And it felt so much more premium than the other watches that I had, that it made me continue to move up and stuff like that. But I mean, ultimately later on I end up going back down and like any other watch collector. But it's it was a crazy story, man. Crazy story. It's crazy. The thing about, and I told you this, the thing about the Auras is I wish they put more anti-reflecting coatings on the glass for us, the Instagrammers, the Instagrammers of watches.
Yeah, it sucks, man, because like which watch is it? I have one that's really, 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 really hard to photograph.
Yeah.
And my Seiko, my Millsub mod.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about that. I should have asked Joe, like, hey, is there a way? Because I'm pretty sure if you're a modder, you can do it, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't think about it because picking up that dial is a real pain in the butt, and it's a really beautiful dial. But it's what it is. Unlike the Grand Seiko, which has awesome.
Yeah.
I think it picks up.
Yeah. So that happened. It was a crazy story. Enjoyed it. Probably would never win anything else again.
Hey, listen, man. I wouldn't. I think stuff happens in threes like that.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, for those of you that don't know, like, I won a Luminox from Watch Pro back in the day, and within the last year, I won one, and it was from an Instagram thing where they were giving away a bunch of watches, so the Watch Pro won last year.
Yeah.
And part of it is they would have awarded you the watch if you went to the event. And if I lived in England, I would have went to the event, but I don't.
Yeah.
And so they were nice enough to mail it to me, a Luminox Constellation. And then I've won another Luminox, but that has not fully come to fruition yet. So I don't want to, kill the lead on that one. But I think I don't know how to explain it, man. I think sometimes the good stuff happens in threes and bad stuff happens in threes, right? And I did win a Transformer from Cookie Crisp back when I was like 9 years old. Which, dude, best day of my kid life. Like
I bet.
The only good thing that ever happened to me as a kid. I'm being brutally honest, bro. Like, I won a Transformer, and I think the thing I was most stoked about is, like, I don't know how it is in Puerto Rico, right? But in Southern California, we have swap meets, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have a lot of swap meets out here because the weather is not always, conducive to being outside. But back home, even in Desert Valley, you could go outside, and our swap meet in our local valley was huge, bro. Like, you could just spend a day there. You could go there, and then like you'd have food stands, and there'd be people dancing. You can buy beer, and then you'd have like individual like mom and pop setups where they're selling stuff, and then you'd have like the trucks that would back up.
Yeah,
they'd run the Dora and be like, we're selling all these shoes in the next 20 minutes, which isn't suspect at all. I'm pretty sure that's entirely on the up and up. But the Transformers you would get from the swap meet were plastic, right?
Yeah,
plastic Transformers. So I won Jazz, the police car, and Jazz was a Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
And when he showed up, bro, die-cast metal.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, die-cast metal, dude. And I remember just being like so stoked. I was like, man, anything in life is, now that I think about it, probably all the good things in life have happened to me because I won that Transformer. I thought to myself, it's possible.
Yeah.
If you just mail something in,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
take the, you know, you can win something. Except for the people that do Instagram giveaways that make you do 47 steps. I'm not doing it. I'm not tagging 14
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I'm not following 14 people. I'm not,
Yeah.
writing a dissertation on my thoughts on
Yeah.
aluminum bezel inserts. Like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tag 2 friends. Let me write free stuff. Let me get out. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to your next 2 watch wins.
Yeah. 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 I would love it, man. I'm telling you. That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
I can't wait to see it, man. It's gonna be awesome. And it's the black one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I will tell you this. I got to tried a couple of other watches while I was in the store talking to them. I had to try out a couple of other watches from Breguet.
Oh, nice. Which one?
From so escaping my
The Type
I
20?
talked yes, the Type 20. The Type 20
What's it
they
like in real
had
life, man?
so I don't know if I would spend the extra money because Longines has the big eye aviator that looks pretty much just like it.
Okay.
I don't know if I would spend the extra money to go to that Breguet because it is nice. It is you can tell the difference in quality, but I don't know if I would spend it that much extra money.
Yeah.
Now there is another Breguet. This other Breguet. I think if you wanted to go Breguet, I think where Zat is on the more dressy pieces because the craftsmanship of what they put on the dials is insane. They have this other one that is kind of like carved into the dial. It looks like diamond patterns.
Yeah.
And that is insane.
Yeah.
The look of it, it looks perfect, man. It's like, and then the quality of the watch itself, it seems, you put it on, you can
Yeah.
tell it's a different, level of watchmaking.
I'm only
But
laughing because I thought to myself, you're doing all this while your wife is wondering where the hell you are.
yeah, exactly.
You're like, I would like to try on that Type 20, please. Like,
Yeah.
oh, here you go, sir. Your wife's like,
Yeah.
do I gotta put a missing persons report in? Like,
Yeah, exactly. So I'm over there
man.
trying these things, and
So-
it took like
that's so
20
good.
extra minutes.
Yeah.
But that one, the more dressy pieces from Breguet, amazing. Now, when you cross over to the sporty pieces, I don't know if I would spend the extra money because we're not talking about 3 extra grand. We're talking about 10 extra grand, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, sometimes more than that. So I don't know if I would spend that much extra money. But on the dressy pieces, those things were insane. And then I tried out the left hand Sprite or whatever they call it from
Oh,
Rolex.
yeah. The Destro.
The Destro. Again, I don't know if I would spend the extra money. There's not a jump in quality. There's not I don't know. I wouldn't spend the extra money.
I think I get your point because the
Yeah.
thing that I'm not going to release yet that we just talked about before the show
Yeah.
started, hopefully I'll be talking about it next week.
Yeah.
It's not really that hard to flip a movement.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know if I would spend the extra money on that stuff. And then they had probably about 4 Rolexes in there. That one was one of them. So,
Oh, nice.
if you want a Rolex, just go drive to Vail.
Yeah. Did they have the Vacheron Constantine Overseas Everest dual time?
They did.
Damn.
They
It's a
did.
very specific question. I have a friend
Yeah.
who wants to know.
Yeah, no, they didn't have that one, but they had some nice Omegas. They had a Plo Prof, not the new one, obviously, because it's still too new.
Yeah.
But they had a Plo Prof. They had a couple
so cool,
of
man.
yeah. So it was cool, man. It was really cool to get to talk to some people about watches and try some good watches. So liked it.
Nice. Well, I'm happy for you, man. It's I'm always happy for people when they win stuff or good stuff happens to them.
Yeah.
Especially when they do good stuff for the community or
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not bored. I'm just been sleep deprived for probably like a week and a half.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I just have had a hard time staying asleep. It's been weird, but
yeah.
keep it moving. Well, that's man. I don't really have any like new update rules. Everything's gone.
Yeah.
I've been selling a lot of stuff. I'm going to sell some more stuff here. I found a piece now that I really, really want. That is a piece I used to own,
Yeah.
but there's a slight variation. And then I think I'm just going to start saving up for something really, really big when I turn 50, which is like
Yeah.
a year and a half away. So
Yeah.
I know what I want. I know what I've always wanted. But part of it I think will be fun is going and checking out similar ones to it.
Yeah.
Because the one I really want, everyone that's listening knows it's the Rolex Explorer 2.
Yeah.
And I want one of the newer. I want the 42 or 41, the bigger one.
Yeah, the bigger one.
Yeah, I need to memorize all those numbers. See, I would have lost it. I would have lost like second trivia question.
41. Yeah.
They would have been like, "Sorry, sir, you're a loser." And I would have sat there with one tear running down my face while Alex answers all 7 questions right. I would have been like, "Oh man, I could have won it worse." But no, and I think and what I'm going to do is just kind of document. Like I just want to document the process through writing and kind of what I've been doing and what I'm going to do with the pieces once I get my collection down. Because I'm pretty close. I got like 4 pieces I got to move, and then I'll have my little core collection of what I want, and we'll keep it moving from there. But yeah, nothing major.
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, the Explorer 2 is my favorite Explorer. I mean, my favorite Rolex.
So
favorite Rolex.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, you want to get into this week's weekly sit rep?
Let's get to it, man.
Once again, I just want the audience to know this. I'm all about giving credit where credit's due. Alex found all these watches. I don't know where he finds the time to do it between winning watches, scaling the Rocky Mountains, and artfully dodging pizza eating with his wife. But Alex was able to find all this stuff, and we're just going to talk some new releases this week. The first of which is something that I think is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Christopher Ward C60 Pro 300 bronze.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Christopher Ward, and it's crazy because I have never owned a Christopher Ward. I have friends who own Christopher Ward in the military. There was a time that there were pretty famous pieces with military members. So in the US. So I'm a fan of it. Lately the quality has jumped up tremendously, like with any other smaller brand. Like the last couple of years, smaller brands have been jumping multiple times forward when it comes to quality. And Christopher Ward is putting out some good pieces, quality wise, movement wise, and this one is chronometer certified. So for people that want something that looks good and it performs well, this is a no-brainer. Now, this is the bronze release. They also have them in steel. But the thing I like about this is, for as long as I can remember, what people have complained about Christopher Ward is when they put Christopher Ward on the dial, like the C60 Pro 600, the 600 meter one, tend to have Christopher Ward at the 9 o'clock. So it kind of throws out the symmetry of the dial. But this is simple. It looks good. The brown on the dial makes the bronze pops that much more. Hey, I was thinking like the washed out strap like that with the bronze and the brown, dude, this got to look amazing in uniform. Amazing in uniform.
But you know what's going to happen? There's people like, you can't wear a leather strap. A dive watch.
Yeah. Majority of people that are going to buy this watch are never going to get it in the water.
Man, that looks so good. I don't understand why you'd wear it with anything else. It looks right.
Yeah. You wear whatever you want in the water.
Yeah.
And don't let no one tell you the opposite.
I mean, technically, like real seals, like the animal.
Yeah.
And like they technically have leather, their skin, right? Like they're freaking mammals. Like you rip them out if you technically. I mean, I'm not saying I would do it, but you can make like seal straps. Like from
Peter's gonna have a
we're not advocating that. I'm just saying it's possible. It's in the realm of possibility, and I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
dude. You know what I like about this watch, and the first thing I noticed is like I've always dug the Trident balancing part of the second hand, right?
Yeah.
But I've always felt like sometimes it's too drastic of a color difference where it stands out too much.
Yeah.
And this one, I appreciate the fact that it's there and it blends in with everything else.
Yeah.
And then the little touch right here, that little
Darker area.
right there, dude. I mean, because now it's like it's floating. These two opposite ends are floating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the color match date wheel, like.
Yeah. And this is something that they did. If you look at this dial, it's lacquered and it's moving out. It gets darker. This is the same thing that they did with the latest steel releases, the atoll, whatever they call it, where it had the white and the blue that was lacquered the same way. So it's something that I guess they're doing. You know, the lugs on the Christopher Ward reminds me of Seamaster lugs because they have that when as it comes down, it has that edges that are polished.
Chamfered.
Yeah.
Chamfered.
And it looks really good, man. To me, it's a winner.
Oh, yeah,
the loom, loom bezel looks really good. Everything. So I like it, man. I think it's a winner.
Yeah, there's real restraint in this design too, right? Because, and I'm not trying to like be mean or anything, but like, you know, some micro brands want to loom that trident.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then it's like kind of kitschy, but here it's just even the loom bezel is done really well.
Yeah.
Man, look at that.
Apply markers, apply Christopher Ward flag.
Oh.
Looks good, man. And this is Christopher Ward watches are pretty well priced because the steel versions you can get for $990.
Yeah. I mean, I told you that there's a gentleman that I work with. Shout out, John. If you're watching, you're probably not because you have real life. And yeah, but John has a couple of first edition Christopher Wards, and I'm afraid to I think I already shared this with him, which I think was probably the mistake. But I wanted him to see because it's just I mean, even his first gen Christopher Wards, you can tell they're just really well made. Like maybe they didn't have the design philosophy down pat, but who does when they first start? And they're still finding their way. But Sam from Casual Watch Talk, Sam loves them, and I trust Sam's opinion on stuff. He's
I
so
think
many different watches.
For what I've handled Christopher Wards, which to be fair, I have handled the ones that I have handled are the newer versions, but they are very well made, amazing watches. Quick release, nice.
Yeah, and if you have major beef, just come over here and use the quick disconnects to remove the leather strap.
Yeah,
I'm guessing the 22 means 22 millimeter.
I don't know because I thought the 300 were all 20 millimeters.
We'll find out in a second. I would have lost that trivia question too. Look at that.
If I remember correctly, it's 20 millimeters.
Really, really solid.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really nice. Yeah.
So is that
this is 42, so it might be this one is the 42 millimeters, so it might be the 22 millimeter lug to lug. Yeah.
Let's go to tech specs and features.
More, yeah. They don't list it.
Are you kidding me?
22, yeah. 22. Yeah.
That's 49 lug to lug.
Yeah.
But that's thin, bro. 11.5, that's not bad.
That's not bad, no. That's not bad. And 49 millimeter lug to lug for a 42 is pretty good. That's only a 7 millimeter difference. So
yeah. So for you, Alex, would you say this is a win?
I think this is a win. Yeah, I think this is a win. This is a win. It looks good. Yeah.
Especially if you don't have a bronze piece.
Yeah.
Man, how much is it?
For the bronze is $12.90. Yeah. The steel versions are $9.90.
I wonder if this thing would be invisible on me. Anyways. All right. So thumbs up for you, thumbs up for me. You want to move on to the next one?
Let's do it. Oh man. You know what's crazy? And
just watch.
I mentioned this before. I don't know if I mentioned it on my podcast, but I know I mentioned it here on one of the episodes. I'm a fan of Nevada Grenchen because Nevada Grenchen used to be around when no one had 1,000 meters water resistance, right?
Mhm.
So to me, it it was a great heritage brand, and they went away, and then someone bought the name, came back, and what I appreciated about it was they came back releasing the same vintage models,
Yeah.
and all they did was they changed materials to be newer materials, right? A
Yeah.
better, newer movement, and so on and so on,
Yeah.
which typically they utilize so prod movements, copies of ETAs, just like Salida and so on.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is they retain everything else. So to me, it was pretty cool. Yeah, it is a back then they used to call it a baby Panerai, right? It is a weird shaped case. You get that. Yep. It's not your typical circular case. But the thing about it is they retain the sizing. Back then they used to be 39 millimeters. They're 39 millimeters now. So they retain the sizing, which is great. But
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of this colorway. I don't
So
know. I think it washes out.
this photo specifically washes it out, right?
Yeah.
Here, and anyone that's followed me for any period of time, I love all gray everything. Like if I could, well, maybe not my house, but you know what I mean. Like if I could have all gray watches, like my Seiko Marine Master 200 mod,
Yeah.
is stainless steel, silver dial, ghosted gray bezel insert, the whole nine, right? It's just a gray masterpiece. And like I love the Tudor, the 925, the sterling silver one. And there's been some other models that do it really well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the gray colorway. This picture sucks,
Yeah.
with all due respect, because then when you come here, you can see, okay,
The
so
difference in color.
the bezel looks like metal.
Yeah.
And the other one, it looks like a composite.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't look at this and say it's metal off
Yeah.
this picture, you know what I mean? But then you
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
here, you're like, okay, there's some blue hue, some blue undertones to the dial, right? You
Yeah.
get this. What I'm inferring is a stainless steel bezel, right?
Yeah.
And I don't mind the K shape at all. I think the
Yeah.
K
No.
shape's cool. I think
Yeah.
the bezel's cool. I think maybe they could have done some markers in between here. That's a lot of open space
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But then maybe they were worried about with the funkier indices and stuff, and
Yeah.
to see right there, like there's just a
Yeah.
lot of open area. There's a lot of open area, and
Yeah.
I don't know the thought process behind everything looking like it was drawn by a 7-year-old. But
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
not in
know.
a bad way. It just looks like it. See, this picture's horrible. This
Yeah.
picture's horrible. It doesn't know justice. They should get rid of that
No
picture,
justice.
burn it, and never let it be seen again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a fan of the original or the regular Depth Master. I think is a great watch for the price, and it gives you those cues of a Panerai that you don't have to spend $9,000 to see if you like it or not. Because honestly, not everyone is a fan of the style. Basically, because you know the the case on top itself, the bezel, right, is circular, which is
Yeah.
what everyone is used to it. But having the cushion case where it has those corners out like Panerai does, it gives you an actual line in your wrist.
Yeah, I think it's sweet.
So for people that are, don't like smaller sizes,
Mhm.
that's going to create a visual line of where the watch ends
Yeah.
and the space on your wrist. So if
Oh,
you
yeah.
are bigger wristed and you don't like smaller watches, then this is probably not going to be for you. But this is I like it. I think it gives you the cues of Panerai while remaining itself because it's funky.
Yeah.
It has longer logs because this is a 47 log to log, I think. So this is a funky
Yeah.
design that I like. This colorway is not for me.
Yeah, I think I should have done more homework ahead of time because I don't understand the thought process behind the 12, 3, 6, and 9.
Yeah.
I get it. I guess it kind of looks like a 3. I guess it kind of looks like a 6.
Yeah, I know it's been around since forever, since when they first came out with the Depth Master, and the original has Arabic numerals and rectangular indices right in
Yeah.
between. Now, this one came out, and at first it wasn't called the Pac-Man, but people started calling it Pac-Man because I guess for some people the 6 looked like a Pac-Man
Yeah.
or the 9. So they started calling it the Pac-Man, and then Nevada Grinchen adopted that, and they put Pac-Man in between parentheses every time for this version. And I think it's the most sell version because people, for whatever reason, has the word Pac-Man on it, so they want it. And
that's because they didn't grow up in Southern California. When I hear Pac-Man, I think of the movie Colors.
Yeah. So after that, what happens is, obviously, this is a special edition for Hodinkee. So Hodinkee is not going to go for the less sold version. They're going to go for the most sold version. So they went with that one, I'm pretty sure. And like I said, this
is a free Hodinkee hat.
Yeah. So this is a Hodinkee special edition. So if you want it, you have to go to their page. Now, this is sold out, but it's going to be restocked again. So it's going to be restocked again. So if you want it, if you like it, if you're a fan of it, you got to go through Hodinkee and just make sure that you get the hat for free because their hat is overpriced.
It's 13 millimeters thick.
13, yeah, it's pretty thick. Which
the lug doesn't look very long.
No, because remember, it's going from the extra portion of the case, the cushion part of the case, so it seems like it's smaller.
There's the white Pac-Man.
Yeah. Now, if you look at it, the one that Nevada that's famous for Nevada is the one that is like the Explorer, right?
This one?
Yeah, that one is the one that's really famous for Nevada Grinchen, because originally it also went to to the mountains like the Rolex Explorer. So
nice.
Yeah.
So the all gray Pac-Man, thumbs up or thumbs down?
For me, thumbs down.
Yeah, for me,
in between.
Yeah, in between again. I'm a habitual fence rider.
Yeah.
But now we're on to something I think people are gonna. And let me just state, it's only because of the really cruddy picture where you can't even tell that the bezel is metal.
Yeah.
And then I like the triangular indices. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a Monster.
Yeah.
But the numbers kill it for me. But
yeah.
On to this bad boy.
Yeah. Laurier. Yeah, for people that have listened to my podcast, I'm a fan of Laurier and what they do. I think that they have resisted the urge to make watches that everyone else is making, like modern divers style. And they have remained in the more heritage diver style pieces and heritage style pieces, which they jump in with both feet. Like if you look at their Instagram, when they do marketing, they utilize pictures and old style magazine pictures for their watches, marketing and stuff like that, and it looks really good. I like it. So the cool thing about this is a true GMT movement. A true GMT movement for what, $600?
Yeah.
This is the Miyota 9015 movement, the new 9075 movement that just came out not too long ago. That it provides a true GMT at a lower cost for independent watchmakers and micro brands to utilize. Now, I don't know. I haven't had any experience with this movement. What I know is, before this movement was commercialized by all or push out to all the micro brands, Bulova had this movement on a watch. I haven't heard any complaints at all about that Bulova watch, so I'm guessing is a good movement. And then it went to Jack Mason. You remember that Jack Mason brand did the Strato Timer GMT.
Yeah. They have a great logo, man. I love their logo.
Yeah, so they did that GMT that looks like a Rolex GMT, and they utilized this movement because it's a true movement, true GMT. So Then a bunch of other brands started getting it, and the Hydra from um, Laurier comes with that movement. I think it's great because for people that want that GMT movement hand or that true GMT movement on a lower cost watch, this is perfect for them. And it has a little vintage vibe to it, and I like it. For me, it's a winner. It looks good. Laurier makes great products, and it's a thumbs up for me. Look at that loom.
I know, man. I like. I think it's really sharp piece.
Yeah.
Really sharp. I mean, I know that you're pretty much anti lots of text on the dial,
Yeah.
but I think this
Yeah.
one's got a lot of symmetry to it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that they give you a free poly watch tube and a free poly buffing rag.
Yeah.
Because the bezel inserts Hesselite and the crystals Hesselite.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. I like the date wheel is color matched. I like how they put the horizontal, what do you call it, horizontal baton on the top.
Yep.
It bounces out the. It's a very handsome piece.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'll help me grow a beard like this guy's, because I can't grow one. The Miele 9075. I saw there was a couple of videos. I like the screws and the bracelet.
Yeah.
Like that. I would offer more micro adjust. I'm always down for like 4.
Yeah. I think like with the and they, like I said, they lean into the old school design very hard. I think it's pretty cool that going with the old school design, they also do the Hesselite, because to me, that connects that old school vibe, and it gives you a different view that Sapphire does, right? So I think it's cool that they stick with it. They probably have a lot of people try to push them to Sapphire, so I think it's cool that they stick with it and connects that vintage style all throughout the watch. So,
yeah, that's a 6-inch wrist, so that's it on a 6-inch wrist.
Yeah,
for those of you watching at home.
Yeah,
dude, $5.99, man.
$5.99. I think it's
you
it's
can get a engraving for $35.
Yep.
Man, that's pretty cool.
I think it's amazing. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's a thumbs up for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I get one, but I mean, it's just a classic looking piece.
Yeah.
It's got.
I think it's classy. I think it looks good. I think it's a good piece from a micro American brand. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I like the Dauphine minute hand.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for Dauphine hands, man. Sucker for them.
Yeah, I love those hands. I love them.
Yeah, but it just the nice. You have your arrow, whatever you want to call it, there, and then a little diamond. But yeah, man. See, even like that red is done really.
Yeah.
I know it's a picture. I have to see in person, but
yeah, you
can't lose with red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
you just can't. You have to try really hard to screw up that.
Yeah.
This was pretty good.
That is true. So I think it's a winner. I think that they do good stuff, and I'm glad they were able to get that true GMT movement there for the people that's all they want.
Yeah. I think it's very nice.
Yeah.
All right, so those are the 3. That's our weekly sit rep. We did Christopher Ward C60 Pro 300 Bronze and Nevada Grenchen Depth Master Hodinky Edition, and the Laurier Hydra GMT. All pretty solid pieces, if not for some little hits and misses on each piece. But I think they're all pretty cool, especially if that's the kind of stuff you're interested in.
Yep.
But the next topic, Alex, is we were discussing what do we want to talk about this week, and I promise that this is not some way of hyping up like my own stuff that I do off on the side, but it was a topic of conversation amongst us, and we could just use this as baseline for the conversation. But everyone knows by now that a couple of weeks ago that Omega did their 75th anniversary Seamaster release.
Yep.
We discussed it pretty much in depth last week, right?
Yep.
And had a great conversation about it. For those of you that watch the show, Cody's in love with the Seamasters. He He thinks they're a great line. I do too. I don't own one, but Cody just loves them, and Alex respects them an awful lot. And I just got me to thinking. I'd heard it was mostly Instagram takes, right? Like, I don't think
Yeah.
the people that have YouTube channels are going to just come out and say it, because I think they're going to get eviscerated in the comments by anyone who does 10 minutes of homework.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of Instagram talk about, oh, they pulled a Seiko, and like, even me, like, having only been a collector since really, like, maybe 2018, probably more 2019 is when I started getting into it.
Yeah.
I've owned at least seven, no, at least six Save the Ocean pieces on my own. I'm down to I'm down to zero. I'm mailing the
Yeah.
last one off today. But immediately when I saw those takes, I was like, well, that's not even true, because Omega's releasing all 11 of these at one time. And I
Yeah.
knew that Seiko had been releasing them over a long period of time. So I don't want to bury the lead on the article, but basically the article is just an intro to where, I basically took three criteria, right? So I took the price range, right?
Yeah.
And I tried to find, so for the sake of science, I tried to find every single Save the Ocean piece ever made, and I stopped at I think at 15 or 18. I'm like, this is ridiculous, dude. I
Yeah.
was trying to find like the original release price, and I was,
Yeah.
Seiko doesn't have like an archive page for everything. Sometimes you can get lucky and find
Yeah.
the old link, and the link still works, but you can't search for it inside the engine.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna find 11 pieces that kind of, that span from 2018 to the present, and see where they're at price range, right? Because the most affordable Amigas were like, what, 6,400, 6,700 for the entry level, the 300s, right? That's about
Yeah.
it. And then the most expensive Save the Ocean I could find is like 43 or 4,600. And so, I worked for 20 days on making this super difficult, fancy graphic here, kind of showing you price range related to depth rating. Like how the more expensive the watch, the deeper it is.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, the most expensive Omega is not the one with
The
the
deep.
deepest
Yeah.
real water rating.
Yeah.
But then, so I did that, and I just compared price. I talked about capability, and since the Save the Ocean, since everyone was saying that Omega pulled a Seiko, well, the Seiko Save the Ocean line are all divers.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest thing with capability in diving is depth rating or water resistance, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, even though some of the Omegas technically aren't dive watches, right?
Yeah.
So technically, so I made this other cool graphic which shows the depth rating not really to scale.
Yeah.
Our shark's all bent out of shape because he's an Omega fanboy, and he got tired of everyone saying Omega pulled a Seiko. He's really upset about it.
Yeah. He's mad. I'm telling you. He's upset.
I was trying to find a graphic for Shark Wahlberg for anyone that remembers who Shark Wahlberg is. I didn't want to get sued, so and get us demonetized. So I couldn't find Shark Wahlberg, but that would have been great. It's like, yeah, he's an optimist. But so we do the depth rating, and again, not to scale, but I wanted to show that obviously the Seiko lineup is capable, right? But they're all 200 meters, all of them, right? I couldn't find one that wasn't 200 meters, and to me, that's just like the standard, right? Like, that's the one everyone talks about. So this isn't in any way detrimental to Seiko. No, it's just saying that Seiko Save the Ocean line are all 200 meters, right? Across the board, whether it's $495, which I think is the cheapest one I found, or it's $4,300, which is the most expensive one I found, right? They were all 200 meters.
Yeah.
So there's some discussion on there. And then I wanted to take a look at their release strategy, like what they came up with. And, this was probably to me, the single biggest criteria that eliminated that argument, because it's like Seiko has released them in batches since 2018, and each batch has a name. So whether it's the Great White Shark, the Manta Ray, there's the Antarctic, there's I think it's the Humpback Whale's the first one, if I remember correctly. But they're parceled out, right? And then you have, they're just parceled out. They're not releasing them all at one time. They do have the whole Jacques Cousteau's sons,
Yeah.
organization that support all great stuff. But Omega dumped 11 at the same time.
Yeah.
11 unique pieces, all for the summer, right? And we even discussed that. If you look at a picture of some of the world time ones, they look more like the ocean, like from a plane if you were looking down over a map.
Yeah.
You know, they don't so much look like inside the ocean, they look above the ocean. But so I talk about it there, and then I have a funny little note where it says I could have added a third graphic for the release date strategy, but you would have had 11 Omegas just stacked on top of each other because they literally came out at the same time. So it didn't really make sense to do the graphic for that
Yeah.
one. I think that would have been an exercise in futility. But and then in the closing, I just talk about, you know, everyone has hot takes. You know, I have
Yeah.
hot takes at times, but I think in the Instagram, you know, threads age, I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit, but it's real easy to have these hot takes, but they're not. It's not a very nuanced take
Yeah.
because they're drastically different. And basically, you know, I call it the big ocean theory because at the end of the day, I think there's enough ocean for everybody because no one really has a monopoly on the ocean, right?
Yeah.
So that's the article around it. But what do you think, Alex? Like, what are your takes on it? I'm sure you heard the same thing that I heard.
Yeah. Well, first, it was a great article. So
Oh, thank
congrats
you.
on that. I think that if you guys haven't read the article, go read it because it reads very well. It's a great article. And then I heard this argument. Omega did a Seiko, and then I heard the argument that Omega did a Rolex. This is the more prevalent one because it's the save the ocean type of theory. And I don't know. It it's like there's so many colorways, right? Like you put out on
Yeah,
the article. There's just so many colorways. What are you gonna do? You're gonna release, a family of watches attached to the ocean by name, right? Called Seamaster, and you're gonna make them purple. You know,
yeah,
So,
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
yeah,
So it's just so many colorways. I guess releasing to support the ocean is only attached to the Seiko name nowadays.
yeah,
Even though Oris does it.
yep,
So it's it's a take that a lot of companies wants to be part of because you know companies want to connect with people in order to be able to sell their watches, and this is just a way to do it. If you're gonna do it, Divers is the best way to do it. Oris does it with their divers with the Aquas line. Seiko does it with the divers. Omega's going to do it with the divers. It's just a way to connect with people across to be able to sell their watches that don't want to feel like I'm dumping 10 grand on a watch or 5 grand on a watch or three, whatever you dumping on a watch. And I'm not doing anything good with the money, right?
yeah.
So it's a marketing strategy, but I'm pretty sure when Omega did this, they didn't have Seiko on the mind at all.
Yeah. Yeah, because I
So
think I've heard people saying I got to believe that this took at least a couple of years, you know, to
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of to nail down. And I think that I haven't seen it, but I always feel like you gotta, in this day and age, especially, you gotta release a little bit of media. Give us a little bit of the background to this, right? Because
yeah,
and I know you hear like people say, "Oh, it's fabricating a story." Well, I think it's fabricating a story if you're like, "Hey, this is Pierre, and
yeah,
Pierre, you know, may or may not have windboarded, you know, across the Pacific Ocean." No, like have one of the designers come on and be like, "Hey, look, you know, like the world time one. I'm convinced that the world time dial is literally looking down on a map over the ocean, and those are the lines of longitude. I gotta
yeah,
believe it." And that if I heard the designer say that, dude, mind blown. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's it's awesome, and it goes with the whole, you know, the top of the globe, and you know, like it's just another cool little element to describe kind of what the thought process is, right? Like we're going from, you know, some could argue land, or you know, the air to the land to the shallow, you know, and you're drastically going deeper in the ocean, right? Because you know the sky is part of the ocean cycle, like you know,
yeah,
precipitation and evaporation, like it all works together. And if you just like, you know, did a 15-minute little video that you released on YouTube or on your website where people can go learn about the design process. I think that would have not, maybe Amiga doesn't care because they make enough money, but I just think it would be cool. And because I gotta believe a lot of work went into these, no matter what, right? Just as much work goes into the Seikos. The difference is for Seiko is like, they obviously not the, some would argue, but I would say not the same caliber of timepieces on the whole, but still cool thought process behind it because they're all great for what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the argument is to me like saying that the first watch that employed a helium scale valve, now everybody else that does have one is copying them. It's like, it makes no sense. Just because you want to go with something that someone did before doesn't mean you're copying them. There's just so much style, that is going to continue to sell your watches. So it's I don't know. It's a weak argument, I think.
Yeah, weak sauce.
Yeah, weak sauce. But who does? And what you were saying about brands coming out and explaining the design process, to me, what that does is connect people with the watches. You know who does, and you know who does that very well? Mike does that extremely well for Zodiac. And like you were saying on the episode we did, an interview that we did with him, it's kind of like a glue that takes what the watch is and brings it out and says, hey, this is the thought process behind the watch. I think that's why people connect so much right now with Zodiac. And it helps people connect with brands because everyone is doing basically the same thing. So if you have someone that's coming out that is connecting those stories, that background with the people that buy these watches, it just helps that much more. People feel connected to the brand.
I think that and it kills me because I can't believe that they don't have like a meeting where they pay someone to think about like not necessarily the negative outcomes of something, but like what's like some of the criticism we could get. Like, and granted, if your criticism scale is like, horizontal line, and there's 10 sections, you're not going to be able to figure out the worst 2 criticisms and the 2 best ones, but like sit in a room and be like, hey, look, obviously people think the ocean's really small and only a certain number of watch brands can reference summer or the ocean. Like, how do we get ahead of that and tell our story, right? Because I think like there's such cool, like the OG Aquaterra, I could take it or leave it. The World Timer, legit, right? If I was like traveling all the time, that thing's freaking legit. And then the 300-meter professional, the Planet Ocean. Oh man, it's so good. But just brands get out ahead and tell the story, right? Because I think having no story allows people to fabricate their own lore behind it, or whatever you want to say, right? Like their own headcanon. But like if you tell the story behind the design and why you did all this, not everyone's going to like it. Who cares? Like most of us will be like, oh, that's cool, right? Like because most of us are going to like the watch or not like the watch off of what we see initially. That's just the way it goes. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you saw the Ultra Deep or the Ploprof and you were like, oh man, I love that Ploprof, they'd have to tell you, oh yeah, we clubbed baby seals with this Ploprof case in order to make the leather strap that so-and-so used for Christopher Ward. Then you would be like, yeah, I'm not buying the Ploprof, right?
Yeah,
that's horrible. I mean, but if you were like, hey, this is a monoblock case because it's original, blah, 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 you already knew if you liked the Ploprof enough to go get one or not.
Yeah.
You already knew that the first time you've seen one, right? So just tell us a story because someone might be like, oh, because there might be people that aren't super ocean people, but they're, or summer, I guess, quote unquote, right? But like, what does everyone during summertime associate with summertime? Going in the water.
Yeah.
In some way. You're going to go in a pool. You're going to go in a pond or a lake. Ooh. This is the grossest thing. Ooh. Oh, man. I don't know how people that swim in ponds and lakes do it. Hats off. Because I'll swim in the ocean and let a shark eat me. I don't even care, man. But like the first time I stepped in a pond and there was like slimy rocks on my feet. Oh man,
Yeah.
worst day ever. But anyways, we associate water with summer,
Yeah.
and so it's apparent that that's what the blue is. You know, it could be the sky or whatever, but just get ahead and tell the stories, because you're right. You're right, Alex. I mean, Mike tells the stories
Yeah.
better than anyone else right now tells the stories.
Yeah.
And, you know, and sometimes, like, you know, maybe that's enough to put you over the edge for a ceramic case watch. Sometimes it's not, but at least you get some information for your purchase.
Yeah, because, you know, I think that's one of the areas, man, where big brands are failing. And that's why in the last couple of years, we're seeing micro brands and smaller brands, independent brands come up so much, because people are not connecting with the big brands. They're tired of, you know, being just a number to buy a watch. So, you know, the more you can connect with the customer, make the customer connect with your brand, the better it is. So I think that's what big brands are failing.
Yeah. I mean, because you've heard Mike say that the older Zodiac enthusiasts and collectors didn't talk to the brand for a long time because the brand didn't tell them anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have, as a brand, you have an avenue. Like, listen, if two clowns like us, right, can organize a stream on a Saturday morning at 0900 Eastern Standard Time, 0800 Central Time for you, right?
Yeah.
You're telling me this mega rich corporation can't get up and record a 15-minute video with someone saying, "Hey, this is the thought process behind our 11 pieces." You know, it's and I would watch it because I want to know, because I think they're cool pieces.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, they probably don't want to come. They can come on government cheese time.
Yeah, by all means. A matter of fact, you know what? Omega, don't tell us anything, because it'll help me write more stuff in the future. So just continue not to tell anyone anything. It'll give me stuff to write about.
Yeah.
And then we can have whole discussions about stuff.
Yeah.
No, you're right. They need to get ahead and tell. I think, especially in this day and age, if you're doing something cool, you have to, if you're not the one, and I know it's an organization, so it's not really the same as a small business, but like, if you're not comfortable getting out saying what you're doing, you need to have someone who is comfortable getting out saying what you're doing for you, right? For your company. So like, if you're a leather maker, or if you're, you know, a metal worker, or if you know, bake cookies, or, you know, if you mow lawns, whatever, it's almost always free to do. It just takes a little bit of your time. But if you have, it's like, what's it? Passive income, right? Like, if you put the video out there and no one sees it for 6 months, but then the right person sees it at 6 months, and you're still doing the stuff, it can only pay dividends, especially if you have other, you know, media or other models and stuff out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
But yeah, check out the article. Let me know what you think. You can leave comments in the bottom, watchwilling.com. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward, man. I appreciate all the feedback too, Alex, because I'm really going to enjoy writing here going forward in the future, because it's something I've wanted to do, and I want to concentrate the majority of my time on that.
For sure, man. It was a great article, so for sure. But all right, guys, that's all we got for this week. You know, I get on the Insta and start looking for new watches. So I get the new watches for every week. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We went a little bit over an hour, but we did talk a lot about,
because we love you guys. We love all of you.
We talk a lot about the new watches and stuff like that. So remember, we brought to you by Anti-Watch Watch Club, a 501c3 organization, and they're a great organization. There's, you know, they're cutting that red line, that red tape time frame that a lot of organizations have to provide help, and they provide help for LEOs, first responders, veterans, military people. So, you know, give them a follow. They're on Instagram, Anti-Watch Watch Club, Anti-Watch Watch Club on Facebook. They have their webpage, which the webpage is Anti-Watch Club, not antiwatchwatchclub.org. And, you know, they have cool stuff that helps them provide monetary support for those in need. And I have that bottle. It's amazing. Everyone loves the fact that it glows so much. So it's pretty cool when you go to Formation in PT. Yep, they have a Woodland The shirt like the one I have. They released the Back to Basics line, which is just, it says AWWC only. It doesn't have anything else, any graphic. In the back, it has the crown. It has cool flags like the one behind
Yeah,
Jason.
so if you want to be UA in uniform, wear it under your blouse.
Yep, because they do have the color one for the uniform, so you can wear it underneath. And then they have the hats like the one I'm wearing. They have a different options. So go give it a check. Yeah, the cool flags, everything, because they utilize this in order to support the programs that they have and support support veterans, LEOs, and first responders. They don't take any salary out of this, so go give them a look.
Go to the charities. Yeah. And just so you know, the Nalgene bottles are on sale this weekend.
Nice.
And you need to hydrate everybody because it's ridiculously sticky hot outside.
It is.
So make sure you hydrate.
That's for sure. So, yeah.
Well, it was a great show, Alex. It was good talking, man. Always fun.
Always fun. Always enjoy it. And talk to you guys next week.
Bye.